Ah,
As regards the arrest of Salman, I have some concerns to air. And these concerns I have as a citizen of this country, and I raise them not from the perspective of a scholar or a constitutional expert, but from the perspective of a citizen who come under, comes under the purview of law. And the incident as I have here is this: Salman, a student from Trivandrum, was arrested from a theatre from where he was watching a movie, and it was reported that before the movie was screened there was a display of national anthem, and it was reported that he did not stand at that time, and he was accused of cooing in the theatre. Later I came to know that there was an altercation in the theatre between Salman and some of his friends, and the altercation occurred at the time of the display of the national anthem, and during that altercation he cooed to his opponents, and he was arrested on the charges, under the charges of IPC 124A and IPC 66A. So the problem is that these two charges, so these two regulations stipulate that a person who protests against the government of law in an unlawful manner should be punished. That is what Article 124A says. The other legal provision, that is 66A, says that a person who sends offensive messages through information technology media should be punished. So these two regulations are those under which Salman is now trapped. So my question is that these two regulations can be interpreted by police at any time. So if a person has done an act, a police can interpret as something unlawful. It can also be termed as offensive. So after this arrest, I visited Salman's Facebook account, and I went through what he aired in the media, but I couldn't find anything offensive there. The problem is that when we make a strong political voice or political message, we can't help offending somebody. The problem comes when the police interprets us being a threat to the society and nation. And the police can widely interpret whether an act is unlawful and offensive. So based on this criteria, some constitutional experts, some eminent constitutional experts have taken the stance that these regulations are unconstitutional. So my case is that Salman's cooing, the alleged cooing, can be a kind of scornful or a kind of subtle criticism of the way national anthem is displayed in the theatre. So this case is something that a court should take the decision on. So my problem, my next concern is that when Salman was arrested, normal procedures of arrest were violated, and he was denied contact with advocates. Advocates were denied access to him. Secondly, there are many versions in the police story. Firstly, the police said that he was arrested in another police station, and when people approached there, it was reported that he was taken to somewhere. So this kind of double talk, or this kind of lack of clarity from the part of police after the arrest is something that we as citizens should be concerned about. And this happened when Sophia Mardini was arrested and Mardini was arrested. And in all these cases, people are arrested so suspiciously as to make us think that the arrested people ones are anti-national and terrorists. Secondly, immediately after the arrest, there was a propaganda in the social networking media by some vigilant groups in which Salman is accused of being a terrorist. He is an anti-national. He is an ultra-left-wing terrorist, like being a Maoist, like that. And when the case is under the consideration of the court, such propaganda which falsely convict a person in the public sphere should be harmful, that will be harmful to the public. So as a citizen of this country, I am deeply concerned about such tactics in the public space, regarding a person who was arrested. Secondly, I have these problems regarding the national anthem and national flag and what is considered disrespectful vis-a-vis the symbols. So these are the next problems and next concerns that I have. We know that in Germany, in Hitler's Germany, before a movie is being screened, people will stand up in front of the national anthem, which publicly eulogizes Adolf Hitler, and people will say that Herr Hitler. So, and in another example, we can see the same tendency in the Sasha Pahlavi's Iran, and we know that both these regimes were oppressive. So, oppressive regimes are using tactics in which entertainments are not free from the display of national imagery and icons. And this happened in Germany and Iran. So, can India, about which we are proud of being a secular, democratic, open, free country, and so in India, need such symbols be ostentiously displayed? That is another question. I am not speaking about national anthem or national flag, but beyond being symbols and icons, they should not be allowed as metaphors for terming people as national or anti-national. These symbols cannot be considered as touchstones of somebody's allegiance to nation. What I call nation is the value of my being in a society, and my attachment to people who live in my neighborhood, and my attachment to people who live in a kind of boundary. And beyond people, I don't think certain symbols and icons should be respected. So icons and symbols should not be respected in the same way that people are treated. That is my conception of nation. And what we call nation should be under the purview of justice, should be under the purview of certain ethical categories, should be under the purview of whatever valuable notions that we have about life, people, etc., etc. And the problem is that when a government seems to be oppressive, when a government is corrupt, when a government is racist, and when a government tends to be fascist, that government often uses national iconography to term people as anti-national and terrorists. This is what happens in all modern liberal states. And in India, we have been witnessing this for quite a long time, especially in the case of Muslims. And this is actually quite depressing after the arrival of Narendra Modi. And we know that all spaces of criticism or all points of criticism have been blended post-Modi, in the post-Modi scenario. That's actually something that we should brook as a democracy. Especially all news media and journalistic spaces that used to criticize the earlier government have been silenced. So there is this kind of similarity between respecting a national icon or respecting national anthem and respecting someone who is considered as epitomizing the nation. Hitler was Germany, and we considered Indira as India. Now we consider, most of us consider, some of us consider, or there is a tendency of considering Narendra Modi as India. And this kind of respecting national icons and the strict obedience to national icons is some way similar to strict obedience to people who are considered national icons. Secondly, there is this question of genocide, and I will say that in the context of some debates in Turkey, there was in Turkey Armenian genocide, and Armenian genocide is the first instance of a genocide in the history of the world. The term genocide was first used to describe Armenian genocide. So it happened in 1950, and the Turkish government says that there was no such a genocide in Turkey, and there is a kind of national ethos, or national conception, or national national pride, that nobody should speak for the genocide. Everybody should forget the genocide. And there was an uproar in Turkey last year when the current president publicly apologized for the genocide. He apologized that such an incident should not have taken place in the history of Turkey. And currently, a movie called The Cut is being the subject of another controversy. This movie, Fatih Akin's movie, is about Armenian genocide, and the nationalists in Turkey say that film should not at all be promoted, and that film should be blocked, and it should be stalled. So the problem is that there is a kind of national ethos which has developed against an event that took place, against justice, against the very history. So the national ethos is working out against history. In India too, there was genocide, and the most shocking genocide was the Gujarat genocide. Before that, there was genocide against Sikh. And there are some people who are surreptitiously proud of such a genocide. There are some people who talk about that genocide as something that as a proud moment that they have been part of. And there are people in the government machinery, in the state machinery, who were in some ways part of this genocide. And after a decade, we have almost forgotten the genocide. And there is a kind of tacit understanding that Gujarat genocide should not be spoken about. It should not be spoken out. It should not be remembered. This is the national ethos that has developed in India. So the terrible situation is that To speak about genocide is a crime, but the alleged disrespect to national icon is a kind of crime. We are proud of genocide, and at the same time we forget genocide, and forgetting and being proud of genocide becomes a kind of national icon, or it becomes, or it is translated into national vocabulary. But at the same time, such alleged disrespect to national icons are severely or a kind of violently suppressed and oppressed. And the problem is that there is no space of dissent at today's time. That is what this kind of incidents speak loudly about. And this throws sharp questions about our being